Hey guys, what is going on? RedMaster here, and welcome back to another episode of Cards and Castles and Known Combos, where today we are looking at a deck that some of you guys have probably faced off against probably within the last month or so. Sort of a part of the reason why the colors of yellow-red are starting to make a reemergence. The deck that I'm currently calling the Good Burn, which kind of, a combination of just the good stuff within yellow-red with a bit more of a primary focus on the burn aspects of it. To be honest, going through my list previously, or at least making this deck, even spending the time beforehand, I did notice that it was probably a bit more unrefined, so I'm kind of just putting the forewarning out there. If you do plan to maybe implement this deck yourself, or at least maybe take a version of it, just be aware that my list is a little unrefined. I'm trying to get more of the detail down on it. I'll explain maybe more of the individual elements of the deck when we get up to the list. But for now, just kind of giving out the forewarning that I'm trying to refine the list a little bit more going forward. But as of now, a little bit unrefined, but not so much that I can't really show you guys. I do think this is a presentable list. However, I do kind of want to maybe make a few changes to it in the near future. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and show you guys the list for the Good Burn deck. Alright, so here is the showcase for the Good Burn deck list. Now, something you guys might pick up on very early on, just by looking at the list, you can see that it's 28 units, and that's slightly under what sort of the normal unit number would be. The normal probably would be around somewhere between, I want to say, like 30 to 35, so it is a bit under in that regard. But in terms of what's involved in the deck, honestly, where those unit slots could have been are probably actually put into more burn. You can see a lot of burn here: Chaotic Storm, Disintegrate, Blue Firebolt, Flame Storm, Dragon's Fire, even Headwood if you want to go as far as to include him in that burn. There's a lot of burn thrown in here, and hence why we have the term the Good Burn. Now, how this deck usually plays out, usually it's pretty standard to a normal good stuff list. You just have a lot of extra burn in your back pocket. You can also tell not a lot of muscle in this deck here. You do have Craxus, and you do have Darkbender, which, Darkbender itself is a pretty strong card. Craxus, though, is the probably only real form of big muscle you have in the deck. Monk's sitting at 3-5, which of course can be buffed by Armory and Blackfin and whatnot. But with that being said, him being another element of muscle is questionable in deck. But anyway, like I mentioned, a lot of burn, which is kind of the main style of how this deck works. You kind of just want to hit your opponent hard from the start, whether it be, with some Chaotic Storms or early rush here. I mean, we do have things like Lumberjack, Rider, Imp, and Priest. A lot of early game here that you can put forward to hopefully draw out your opponent's resources, and then of course follow it up with, of course, burns, whether that be Blue Fire on the more important targets, Flame Storm, because you do have Taurus files in here for extra draw too, so maybe Flame Storm plus Taurus files, maybe take out a couple of tokens that are going around, whether that be rat spawners or other small units like priests or elvish thieves, whatever the case may be. And then of course you got the normal blacksmith armory combination here that works kind of hand in hand. No surprise why they're in here. Why they're in here? I said wow, so let's fix that. Why? No surprise why they're in here. Blah. And then of course you got the Darkbender, like I mentioned before. Just really no deck or no Warlock deck to me seems complete without a Darkbender. So throwing 2 copies of him in here, plus the deck does kind of need a little more support rather than just straight burns. So of course Darkbender being thrown in here. And then of course you got the Monk, which isn't really normally an inclusion in what do you call it, Warlock Crusader decks. However, I am working with a lot of burn here, Flame Storm and other things like that. So Monk is kind of like a little pick-me-up. It's not really a Hands of the Saint heal, but it can provide that little heal that you might need, whether it be from burning yourself with the Flame Storm, or if you want to, just pick up a little health for yourself if you're, maybe down. He also provides a little extra muscle that Hands of the Saint does not. So I think that's another little reason why I like him in here. Plus, personally, kind of going a little more biased here on the list, but I'm running Monk because it's been a long time since I've actually played him. And when I heard that some of these Warlock Crusader burn decks were implementing him, I kind of wanted to try it out for myself. Again, it's been a while since I played Monk, so just having the card in here is kind of just a personal thing. Of course, again, you don't have to include him. Maybe find more of a beefier unit for this spot. But, regardless. Professor Headwood, Dragon's Fire, Craxus, and Arbiter to top out the list. Arbiter, again, for kind of the same reason Monk is in here. Kind of a more reliable heal, just in case you start to fall under. Because with Burn, you're not really paying attention to your own castle sometimes. So, a little bit more of a pick-me-up. Now, excuse me, where I do think the deck might be unrefined and might need a little touch-up here, honestly, Dragon's Fire at 3 might be a bit too much. I'm currently experimenting with that right now, so Dragonfire at 3 could be dropped. Same with maybe like Disintegrate or something like that. Maybe have a more, I guess not really just so much of a unit targeter. Maybe like Arc Fire in here, and then maybe squeak in a little Wizard action. Honestly, I'm not sure at this moment. Again, I am still kind of experimenting and still playing around with it, but just kind of giving that heads up as to where the deck I mentioned earlier is a bit unrefined. I would say probably around the Dragon's Fire area, where you have at least 3 that could probably be dropped down to 2 if you're playing the more safe route, and then maybe drop Disintegrate from maybe a different burn that has more of a different targeting. That's probably the right word I should use. I know people like Witch Bolt, Arcfire, another option too when I have the Headwood and Darkbender in here. Again, those two are some other options. Personally, with me, I don't like to run Witch Bolt because I'm always on the philosophy of I don't like to give my opponents any kind of resource advantage. So, uh, you know, with that being said, Witch Bolt does give your opponent draw, so it can get a little yeah, it can get a little iffy for me personally. But again, it's more of a personal philosophy. Honestly, where Disintegrate is, you could probably fit in some Witch Bolts or Arc Fires. Again, I'm just kind of experimenting around right now. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take you guys into the matchup here and showcase how the deck is played. Alright, so for our matchup here, we are looking, it could be worse, but it could be a little bit better, so let's see if we can get a little bit better, which we can. Imp, Flamestorm, Blacksmith, gonna help us start things off here, and we have the Monk too, which is definitely nice to revert a little bit of this Flamestorm damage. We even have the Tarius Phyla, so I'm hoping to maybe set up for that as we proceed on. So our opponent is actually running the same colors as us. Curious to see if he's got the same setup as us. That may not be true. Alright, well, thank you for that, my friend. I appreciate that. So Disintegrate on our Imp. We're going to have to sit back then with the Tarius Files for now. I'm hoping it throws out maybe a lower monster. That's not really what I'm thinking of, to be quite honest with you. Alrighty. Hmm. Let's go with the Blacksmith and see what route our opponent takes here. Interesting that he put a deflecting shield on the Flowering Knight. That, of course, maybe wants to invest a little bit in here. Okay, we got another Knight of Flowers. Fantastic. Lovely. Love to see that happen constantly. Alrighty. Let's do this then. Let's put the Blacksmith back here. Put some of these guys around here. Doesn't have any chain, which is fine. I want to see if I can set up for an armory play right about here, because that's kind of what we need to happen. Doesn't matter if he doesn't kill off the Rat King either. We could still... okay, so he will kill it. So we'll have 6 gold. Didn't matter if he killed it, though, to be quite honest. He would have done just fine anyway. Although... now we lose that Rat King, so a body that's lost for the armory, which we do kind of need all the bodies we can for to get rid of these Flower Knights. Meanwhile, he's going to go and, yep, right there, going to keep sending some things up and in, which is fine. I mean, that really tells me something about his deck, though. That's kind of more just focused around these bodies. Alright, let's go with the armory play right about here. We can do... Well, hold on. Let's do this for sure. And then I guess we can do this, right? Yeah, because when we do this, right, we'll have the metal. We'll activate the flame storm. We'll do a little bit of damage here. That's cool. Get a Salhar Rider to boost as well, so we'll put that right about there. Move the blacksmith up. And now we have some room to work with. We can use the monks to recover a little bit of health here, whether they be on the castle, armory, or the blacksmith. He does have Warlock burn of his own, though, so we have to be kind of cautious of that. Okay, Frog Prince. Not really the biggest threat on this board, but that's okay. Let's fear back the frog a little bit, push him out of the way. And then... Because he's also got Judgment, which is going to be annoying. So here, you know what we'll do? Okay, not really where I wanted to hit, but that's okay. So I'm going to get rid of the blacksmith just because we got to get rid of this Earth Knight before he gets in the way and become a pain. We'll do Professor Headwood, see where we can go with that. And then, of course, end our turn. And then we'll get things like the monk out here. So, trying to... Ooh, hello. I don't know what you are, but I don't think I like it. Alright, is he gonna... Okay, so he's not gonna give us any kind of Headwood value, or at least he's trying to mitigate that value, which is fine. I can understand where that's coming from. Alright, let's fear him back. Let's monk up. And then... we can do a rider here, which I imagine... What's the trap then? Deflecting shield. Alright, it's a hefty trap. Doesn't even kill my rider, though, which is good. I guess we can get a lumberjack out, too. And then let's go ahead and even hit the Earth Knight here. And then we'll end our turn there. So we are trying to build up a little bit of momentum here. I think we should be able to clear things. Ah, shit. Freaking Luminaris. Yeah, I do have to imagine he's had that lurking in the back. But still, always hurts to see that. Because now he's just going to armor up here, and then we can't do a whole lot about that. I don't even have enough to, I think, properly here. I guess we can afford to do this. Just to bide our time a little bit. Yeah, we'll do that. Because that Frog Prince is pretty much the only thing he's got out on the board right now. And I think we can hit him with the Arbiter's Return. Okay, there's an Inspire. 2 Questing Knights. Those are probably trade with the Monk, if I'm being perfectly honest. And that leaves the Frog Prince to just hit face, which is fine. We just hopefully need to draw something that can burn the Frog Prince a little bit here. And then we'll be at a fresh start. Okay, yep. Okay. They're going right in. They're kind of ignoring that. Alright. So let's get our things out here, so we can properly take down this Frog Prince. So 1 hit there. 1 hit here. 1 hit here. That triggers his resolve. Knock down the Frog Prince. We leave the other monk to swipe the other Questing Knight. Alright. So now I think we should be on track to win this. I don't think he's got any other tools left. He's kind of going by the books here, or by the draw, I should say, not by the books, the wrong terminology. But a little interesting Night Rush to handle in our matchup, which you know, again, we've been seeing a lot of recently with the with the popularization of yellow red recently. You're bound to see night decks, I guess, thrown in there. I think that's kind of like we're one of the top three yellow red contenders here. We've got the good stuff, which is a lot of burn and stuff like that. You've got the last will, which has been a mainstay for a while now, and then you get the knights, which I mean, the Knights are okay. I think out of the three, the Knights are probably ranked the lowest. But when you mix them with things like armor and stuff like that, where it is a bit trickier to get rid of their health, it can do a little bit. I mean, we saw in this matchup how powerful the armor was and whatnot, or at least maybe not how powerful, but maybe how. I mean, how tricky it was for me to deal with is the only way I can think of putting it. I think our opponent just gave up here after I took out a lot of his main forces here. I mean, which is alright. You could at least play the cards, but you know what? That's okay. We're just going to go and keep hitting the face then, as much as we can. If we get a buff, I believe, or at least if next turn doesn't heal, which I don't think he will, we'll pretty much end it by the next turn. So we will win this matchup here, even if it's by sort of a give up, or at least he's hoping maybe I disconnect or something like that. I know some people try to take that strategy if they are in a losing scenario. They try to just not play the game and hopefully have a disconnection, which I'm not here to talk about sportsmanship, but personally, I think you should just play the match out, even if things aren't going in your favor, even if you know things aren't going well. Just play the match through. It's the best advice I can kind of give you there. But regardless, we will take the match, and with that, of course, that'll be our showcase for the whatever deck I decide to name this. I haven't actually named it yet. I might have named it by the time you guys are watching this. Definitely by the time you guys are watching this. But I don't know. While I'm recording, I mean, it's kind of just the good stuff burn or the good burn. Maybe I'll call it the good burn. I don't know. Maybe. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I think that might be the best route to take. But anyway, yes, that will end our showcase for now. Pretty straightforward matchup there. A little tricky for us, but I think the deck also needs more refinement on my part. Definitely a little bit more refinement, just to get a sense on it. Because I mean, this is, I told you before, it's kind of a very rough draft. Of how this deck should be, I think. But I'm still trying to refine it in my own right, so kind of playing around with it here and there, see what needs to be done. But anyway, like I said, that's going to pretty much do it for our showcase. A good way to close out this video for sure. With that being said, folks, I'm going to do it for this edition of Known Combos. Let me know what you guys thought of the Good Burn deck by leaving your thoughts down in the comments section below. And, you know, if you haven't already done so, be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, share with friends, and of course, subscribe if you haven't done so. Do help show your support to the channel by clicking that subscribe button at no additional cost to you. And maybe smack that notification bell to be alerted for future uploads. So, yeah, with that being said, guys, I'm going to do it for me for now. So, until next time. Stay gaming.